This podcast is brought to you by Elite Level Status Wine. My wine journey started with drinking cheap grocery store wines that were really acidic and gave me headaches. Then I switched to more luxury, really expensive, full-bodied wines that were really heavy and had a bad aftertaste. The inability to find the perfect wine is what led to the creation of Elite Level Status Wines. Elite Level Status Wines are approachable, medium-bodied wines with great flavor and minimal aftertaste. We currently have 2 wines. First is our Cabernet. It has notes of blackberry, cinnamon, plum, nutmeg, and French vanilla. Then we also have our Rosé wine. Typically, when people hear rosé, they think really sweet, bubbly. Ours is going to be a flat, dry, pink rosé wine with subtle strawberry and raspberry flavors. Both wines are available on our website, elitelevelstatus.com, and use promo code ELITE for 10% off your order. Welcome to episode 2 of the Elite Level Status Podcast. I'm your host, Will Scott. The Elite Level Status Podcast is a motivational podcast designed to help aspirational people become elite. Whether it's personal life, business life, relationships, health, we discuss mindsets and actions to help people in their journey to become elite. And of course, we do it all while sipping on Elite Level Status wine. Oh, love it. So today we're talking about health. I know that the first question you're probably going to ask is, why is the wine guy talking about health? People, life is about balance. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. So you can't be elite without health. A healthy person has many goals and dreams. A sick person has one, and that's to get healthy. So health is at the foundation of everything that we do. And first, I want to talk about food. There's a lot of confusion about what we should be eating, especially with social media. There's just a lot of confusion. So the best way and simplest way I like to think about food is we mainly want to eat the same foods that our grandparents ate when they were growing up. Because when they were growing up, they didn't have any of these processed foods because they weren't invented yet. So by default, they had to eat natural, organic, one-ingredient foods like fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, and meat. So if we can primarily stay with those foods, then we're going to be healthier than the majority of people. Now, it's not always easy to eat this way. First is the cost. It's going to cost more money to eat organic foods. But to that, I say it doesn't cost as much as that hospital bill if you were ever to get sick. So you definitely want to invest in the best possible food so that you can try to prevent any future sickness. Now, it's also hard to eat this way because of convenience. Due to our busy schedules, we don't always have access to fresh organic food. So that can be an issue. And then another issue is our cravings. Like sometimes we just really want some French fries or some ice cream. And so we eat it, and there's that regret. A lot of time it's immediate regret, like, oh, I shouldn't have ate that. And that creates negative energy, negative thoughts. And so we want to prevent that. We want to create a system to where we can still mix in some of the foods that we like and still overall be healthy. So that's why I'm a big believer in the 80-20 rule. Now, some of you guys have probably already heard of this, but the 80-20 rule basically means that 80% of the time, we're going to eat the same foods that our grandparents ate growing up. Natural, organic, one-ingredient foods. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and meat. But the other 20% of the time, go ahead and eat what we want. And this is going to allow us to make a sustainable lifestyle change that we can do forever. So, for example, if you eat 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, that's 21 meals a week. So on the 80-20 rule, 3 or 4 times a week, go ahead and eat what you want. And in my situation, I fast until lunch. So I'm basically eating 14 meals a week, but I fast because I want to save calories so I can drink more wine. And let's talk about drinking for a second. So drinking, in my opinion, is really important when it comes to building relationships and networking. And I go to a lot of like business networking events, and everyone has a drink. And you want to be able to mix in your drinks so that you can still foster relationships and network and build these relationships with people. And so I think that's very important that you have a system in place that allows you to drink and not feel bad or not feel like, oh man, I'm hurting my health by having an extra drink or two. We want to be able to budget in these drinks, budget in some of the foods that we like within the 80-20 rule so that overall we can still be healthy. The 80-20 rule, like I said, it's a sustainable lifestyle change. And this is important because this isn't a diet. Diets to me are a waste of time because you change your normal routine for a couple weeks, a couple months. But then when it's over, a lot of people just go back to square one and doing what they were doing pre-diet. It's basically a waste of time. In life, we never want to waste time because time is our only asset that we can never get back. Like you can get your money back, you could get, whatever back, but you can't get your time back. So I feel like diets are a waste of time. If you're going to make that change, you want to see the results forever, not just for a small window and then you just revert back to what you were doing before you started the diet. So we don't want to look at this as a diet. This is going to be a sustainable lifestyle change that we're going to continue for the rest of our lives. Okay, so we're using the 80-20 rule because we have to create a calorie deficit. A calorie deficit is basically, on average, you're burning more calories than you consume. And as we eat more organic, natural, whole foods, we're going to create a calorie deficit naturally over time because our body is going to get the nutrients it needs from a lesser volume of food. So over time, you won't eat as much, but you'll still get your nutrients and you'll be able to create that calorie deficit that's going to allow you to be healthier than the majority of the people. And it doesn't matter if you're vegetarian, carnivore, paleo, it doesn't matter. They all can work when applied correctly. So the next piece of creating a calorie deficit is going to be movement. And I'm not going to tell you to go out there and do all these crazy workouts. I think the best way to get movement is walking. Get your steps in. And some of the ways I like to do this is I like to make sure I get my steps in throughout the normal daily routine that I do in my life. So on a daily basis, some examples of this are whenever I'm going out, whether it's to the office, to the gym, running errands, I like to park in the back of the parking lot because that's more steps that I have to take, both going in and coming back out. If you have an office job, you sit at a desk all day, every hour or so, get up and go outside or just walk around your office for 5 or 10 minutes. When you're at home, you're watching TV, every 30 minutes or so, pause it, go walk around your house, walk up and down your stairs. And the more 5-minute windows that we can build in of walking throughout the day, this is going to burn a couple hundred extra calories every day. And if we do this consistently day after day, this just helps us build a better and better calorie deficit. And I definitely recommend getting a step tracking app, whether it be on your watch or on your phone, because that's going to help hold yourself accountable. There's a lot of days where I think that I've walked a lot and I check my tracker and I actually haven't walked that much. And there's also the opposite where I don't think I've walked that much and I actually have. So you want to make sure you're tracking your steps so that you can hold yourself accountable and be sure that you're always meeting your step goals and burning the amount of calories that you want to burn on a daily basis. Now, how do we know that all this stuff is working? We have to find a trustworthy doctor that we can go to get our physicals and our labs and our blood work done to make sure that we're healthy. So, quick story about my doctor. I was following this guy on Instagram and he was ripped. Chest, arms, shoulders. This dude was ripped. And he posted a video saying that he takes TRT. So I saw that video and I went straight to my doctor and I was like, Doc, I need some TRT. And he was like, why do you need TRT? And I said, I follow this guy on Instagram and he's ripped. And he does the same workouts that I do, but I don't look like him. But he takes TRT. So my doctor was like, do you know what TRT stands for? I was like, Doc, I don't care what TRT stands for. I just need some. And he was like, why do you want to look like some guy on Instagram? And I was like, why are you asking so many questions right now? I just need some TRT. And he basically explained to me that TRT stands for testosterone replacement therapy. And he showed me my blood work and showed me my labs. And he basically talked me out of it and told me that I didn't need it. And in the moment, I was mad, but he earned all my trust because he could have just given me what I was asking for and made a profit and went on about his business. But he had my best interest at heart. And he wasn't just going to let me just take something that I wasn't fully educated on and I didn't understand what I was doing. So that really earned all my respect and all my trust because he has my best interest at heart. So if you don't have that type of relationship with your doctor, I encourage you to go out there and find a new one until you do have that type of relationship with your doctor, because that's going to be key to making sure that this system of being healthy is actually working. We never want to guess. We want to have, a doctor. We want to have lab results that prove to us in certain terms that we are being healthy. So a few more things I want to touch on. Whenever you're eating something or whenever you're at the grocery store, always read the ingredients. Now, I know they make it hard to read and difficult and small print on the back, but you always want to read the ingredients. And if there's something that you're going to eat and it has an ingredient that you don't recognize or an ingredient that you can't just go pick up off the shelf, then you probably shouldn't eat it. And along with that, I want to mention this app that I use called Yuka, Yuka. And this app, I use it especially when I go to the grocery store. So what it does is it's an app that allows you to scan the barcode on any food that you're eating. And it basically tells you whether it's healthy or not by assigning a grade of 0 to 100. So 0 being like the most unhealthiest, worst thing you can eat, and 100 being the healthiest thing ever. And I love using this app, especially when I'm at the grocery store. I go and I scan everything. Like, I know people look at me at the grocery store and they're like, what is this dude doing? Why is he scanning everything with his phone? But that's my way of finding new healthy foods that I can work into my eating regimen to give me more variety. And you'll be pleasantly surprised sometimes at what you find that comes up healthy. And it's a great way to add new healthy things that aren't really mainstream or popular, but you can add them into your eating regimen to just give you more variety. So I highly recommend the Yuka app, and it makes eating healthy and organic not nearly as boring as you may think it is. Next thing, let's talk about snacks. Whenever I want a snack, I ask myself, am I hungry or am I just bored? And a lot of times I'm just bored. So at that point, I know I need to get some mental or physical activity going. So I'll do some work, go walk around, listen to a podcast to try to take my mind off of my hunger. If I still feel like I'm hungry, then the 80-20 rule still applies. So 80% of the time, we're going to eat a healthy, natural, organic snack. And the other 20% of the time, go ahead and snack on whatever you want. So the 80-20 rule applies to your main meals. It applies to your snacks. It applies to your drinking. And then the last thing I want to touch on is seed oils. So there's conflicting research as to whether or not seed oils are bad. I'm a big believer in olive oil. I always cook my food in olive oil because at least I know I'm adding nutrients to my meal. So that's what I do when I cook at home. The bigger point is probably when you go out to eat, though. Because when you go out to eat, the menu tells you like what you're eating and what's in it. It doesn't always tell you how your food is being prepared. And so be sure when you go out to eat that you communicate how you want your food prepared. If you want your food cooked in butter, then tell them. If you want it cooked in olive oil, then tell them that. But they have everything back there in the kitchen. So just be clear and communicate how you want your food prepared so that you can optimize how healthy it is, especially when you go out to eat and you're not cooking it. So that's pretty much it. So in summary for today, health is the ultimate wealth. We can't be elite if we're not healthy. So we're going to use the 80-20 rule for our meals, for our snacks, for our drinks. And 80% of the time, we are going to eat natural, organic, one ingredient, whole foods, the same foods that our grandparents ate when they were growing up. We're going to do that 80% of the time. 20% of the time, we're going to eat what we want. And we're going to combine that with getting our steps in so that we can create a calorie deficit. And then find a trustworthy doctor so you can make sure you're on track and always healthy. And with that, you'll have elite health. So give it a shot. Let me know how it works for you. The Instagram for the podcast is at elite_level_status_podcast. And remember to check out the website, elitelevelstatus.com. We got both wines. We got scented candles. We got the wine accessories, the wine glasses. And use promo code ELITE for 10% off anything you buy. And I'll see you next time.